Shkoyach, Shabbat Shalom. Great to be back again. I think two of my favorite words in the entire Torah, if not the, is reach nichoach. There's just something about it. It's just onomatopoetic. Reach nichoach. And what does that mean, reach nichoach? Anybody? It's that sweet smell. It's that smell that many of you know but have not eaten. That smell of barbecue. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I've been to the South many times and I keep kosher. That reich nichoach. You don't know where it's coming from, at that park or the mall. It just brings you closer. Where's that coming from? You're like, oh, that's the other meat. And you realize to yourself, I think I'll have some carrot sticks. Or corn on the cob, or something else, right? And as you're eating that kettle corn, okay, it's sweet, it's nice. That reich nichoach just permeates everywhere. And I say to myself, oh my gosh, Vayikra, Leviticus, is the most misunderstood book in the Bible. Like, we don't give enough love to that reich nichoach, that sweet smell of what barbecue was all about for the Torah. I'm only half kidding, but it was this communal celebration of barbecue. Anybody in French, what is barbecue? Does anyone know this? There you go. Barbe, from the tail, now think of a little goat scruff. Écu, I'm not going to say it in English, to the tail. But coup doesn't just mean tail. It's the whole thing. Barbe écu, that gives the entire roast that would be turned again and again rotisserie. And I'm not talking about that other rotisserie. I am talking about barbecue. And that entire feeling, that smell, is something that I think we really miss in the translation of korban. Because what do we translate korban as? And it's, you see it in baseball, although the Angels don't need to because they're just crushing it right now. It's a sacrifice. And now, let's be honest. Isn't the sacrifice in baseball one of the lamest opportunities? Don't you feel, okay. He went to second, and the guy went, oh, hey, high fives. Sacrifice, honestly, sacrifice, the most anemic sounding word that does not represent, and sacrifice means I'm giving up, right? Whereas korban means coming closer. Now you could say, honestly, when you go to an unkosher environment and you smell that barbecue, you say, wow, I'm making a big sacrifice right now. I'm eating carrot sticks. But doesn't that kind of allude to how far we've come from what it means to have literally farm to table? Farm to table. The shulchan. Now, well, I'll get to shulchan, farm to table, what it means for our families, but really, let's just stay with the Torah. What are we celebrating in the Omer? The matzah was basically, we were at the end of a cycle, and we're moving from the barley harvest to the wheat harvest. Now, we say each day, and now we're in week 2 of this counting, it was of the sheaves of wheat. Now, have you ever wondered what this wave offering is, this tnufa offering of the wheat? What are you doing? Like, oh, shit. I always think of, like, imagine like the flag girls, you know, like, here we are, this is the wheat. But it's always action. There was some meaning to this. And the meaning is this. Solet min chabulula bashemen. You've just got to cook the finest of the flour. And what they were talking about was, anybody agriculturalist? I'm crossing my fingers no, because I'm out of my league here, but I want to bring it closer to you. It's the semolina flour. Semolina, it's this fine-grained flour. So now it makes more sense. You're not just going, hey, look at me, I'm a sheaf of wheat. Nuh-uh. Just like we do with the lulav, right? You're trying to get that semolina, that fine-grained flour out in order to make what? Over the course of 7 weeks, just enough for 2 loaves. For these manez that we have in Shavuot. And any parent can tell you, my kids, This is a great story. So we're at Costco, and I always get them the Milton's whole grain. My mother like inculcated this back in the Atkins? Do you remember that wheat bread that just the more miserable it tastes, the better it is for you? And I thought that was so Jewish. But instead, what it really is this fine grain flour. So I'm at Costco, and you know the huge bread section. So I had to run and get one of my kids something. My kid snuck in white bread. And I'm not just talking Wonder. He went buttermilk. Like, it was a perfect passive-aggressive move. So, you know, you're at this, you're checking out, and you're seeing all the things flow by, and you see buttermilk bread walk by. And he looked at me with these doe eyes of like, one Saba, can't I have white bread? By the way, he's ruined. It's over. Like, I made 2 peanut butter and jellies with this stuff. But semolina flour, let me just get back to, it's not whole grain. This semolina is this fine flour that makes a different loaf. Okay, San Francisco, you know, I came from San Francisco. Bread is a big deal there. And tartine. Now, you wait this line out the door to have some of the best starters and breads. This is what this Omer counting, not just spiritual reflection, not just Torah from Exodus 2. By the way, not Israel. We celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut this week, but really it is from Exodus to Torah. It's about each of these little grains adding up to something larger. How each step along the way creates something magical. And this is what, honestly, barbecue is about as well. Whether it's with bread or with the meat and the offering, it's something that everyone takes a part of. Now, the irony is do we really take part in this barbecue anymore? I mean, I think kosher, I'm not going to get into some of the issues with organic, local, and kosher. That's another talk for another time. But when I think kosher on the airplane, I think of like triple wrapped, double stamped, and it's got a number of hechshers on it. Why? Because the rabbi said, okay. You know that China is the #1 kosher producer of kosher product. Why? It's $20 billion a year. It's chemicals. Because chemicals are not organic, and therefore, if it's organic, it would have to go through so many steps, as long as it's chemical process. Do you know that Manischewitz is actually the one who makes this ingredient that makes wine more red? They call it super red. And it's done by Manischewitz, and it's a chemical that's produced in China that's imported here. It's a totally different subject, but what I'm talking about is organic. Let's go back to barbecue, yeah? Now, I'm really trying to make you guys hungry. I really am, and it's my voice. But you know what's even better is watching people do it. Anybody? Okay, you're not going to admit it, but I will. I'm into, let's just call it food romance literature. There's another word for it, food. Have you heard of? Yes. I'm not going to say the word, but food, you know, Fabio of food. You watch these guys make these amazing things, and you've almost eaten it. Have you noticed what the commercials are for these things? The commercials are for Tupperware. The commercials are for like mac and cheese. The commercials are for like, right? The least high quality foods. Like these guys are like cutting knives and make, oh my God, we're going to julienne this and make a perfect pattern. And then like the commercials about like microwave product. It's an irony, no? But what is it trying to tell you? And it's real. Is that we enjoy so much this high element of food and cooking, but our lives are busy. In fact, we go home, it's tough. I mean, I'm really trying in my conspicuous production to make things that are healthy and beautiful and good, but I can't do it like Anthony Bourdain. Like, today I'm in Thailand, let's just check out some of the beautiful, you know. It's incredible, but it helps me be a part of it. Now, I mentioned food romance literature only because I don't think the Torah and Leviticus is that far from that. I mean, think about Ezra when he's thinking about it. Let's go to the marketplace and let's read these sacrifices. Do you think those guys were like, oh, great idea, honey, let's go take a goat and barbecue it, and then maybe we'll have it celebrate with our friends? No. They're in the marketplace and they're like listening to the Torah and they're like, wow, that smells good. Shawarma? You know, they go and they get a falafel. They go and get something much more humble and much more meager but they get to hear the sense of this communal sense of literary culinary experience. I think we were the original food romance literature specialists. Because by listening not just to the things that are so beautiful, anybody watch, I think he's David Chang, he's got this, it's called Ugly Delicious, right? You also are kind of fascinated with all of these things, like, oh my gosh, someone eats Hopi? All right, first of all, what's a Hopi? It's a kind of bird, we won't go there, but I do also want to list all the things I don't eat and be like, wow. And then I return back to this beautiful sense of community by what I eat and what I don't eat and my fine dining. Oh, have you eaten there? Oh, I just tried that restaurant, not this restaurant. This is how we make community. This is how we make korban. It brings us closer together. The culinary experience. And now I just want to reinterpret a couple of our culinary experiences, like the olah. The olah is probably for some the most wasteful sacrifice that could ever be if you don't believe in a God that's hungry. Do you know what the olah is? The olah offering? What are you supposed to do with the olah offering? You bring a bull or a ram or a sheep, you bring it, and what are you supposed to do with the olah? It's the first offering. It is entirely consumed in smoke. Now, if you're someone who Ziploc bags every single leftover avocado, you're saying to yourself, oh my God, you're going to take a whole ram and burn it entirely and no. If you don't believe that Hashem is hungry, why would Hashem want this? Now why? Let's just think about it. Why would Hashem and why would Israel and why would the priesthood want something? It fills the assembly with this reach nichoach and no one eats it. Think about that. How jealous. Okay, I'll admit, 10th commandment comes up when everybody else is having that barbecue and I'm having my kettle corn. If no one eats it, what does that mean? What's the flip side of no one eating it? Everybody's smelling it. It's a beautiful symbol. It's like that initial incense, not ish sarah, not a foreign fire, but a beautiful sense of come. It's that dinner bell, so to speak, that lifts up for everyone and is not for just high priests. We know they get a good cut. They get that kind, that beautiful cut, but it's for everyone. And then to continue to parcel out all of these things, not just for the hierarchy, but for everyone, allows us to come closer to one another. So I think that the table, obviously the table of the altar, Mizbeach, Chulin says it clearly, the Talmud says our dinner tables become the table of the Mishkan. It's no question that our dinner table, our family dinner table, is all about that. And yes, when my children see, I got one of the, God bless my wife, I was vegetarian for 30 years, and Erin, she rested in peace, she was a vegetarian with me for about 20, and then just about once a month she wanted a little something, yeah. So I got her one of these because we have a kosher home, but it was all vegetarian. I got her one of these Kenny Rogers roasters, these like interior rotisseries. And she turned me. She basically converted me over each and every, because I would make it for her and I wouldn't eat it. Then the kids, and you watch. Have you seen Finger Looking Good? I mean, when your kids and your wife and your family are truly enjoying gusta, it is really hard to have alfalfa sprouts next to it. It just is. I mean, and I've tried. And then, like, the harder you work at making, like, your bechamel sauce, you're working so hard. These guys, they just stick a turkey on the thing, and it turns, and it's done. It looks and tastes and feels so good. And this is what our table is about. I see my kids' eyes, and even more so, it's not just about our family, but it's truly about our community. And I say this to your credit. Your kiddush is gorgeous, right? It's not just shtachi little kichala. Kichel is that, like, you guys, okay. Anybody not know what kichel is? Can someone who knows what kichel is explain? It's like this dry, let's just say, reach lo nichoach. There is no umame to the experience. But here you have this full table, and I want to say, and this is from the Ramah Isserlis, he says, I love this. as a halacha, you must have salt on every table. You must have salt on your table. Why? To remind you that it's a sacrifice. And now, my wife would also say, if it's not salted, it's not food. I mean, it's just a culinary good idea to have some salt there. But to remind us that this is, and this Kiddush is really a hearkening back to the big Kiddush, to what we do, to how we celebrate. Now, this is a program that I'm really working on back in a community in San Francisco, but also in the future. It's called the Big Kiddush. And I really want Farm to Table to be something that is religious and holy. And so the community comes and has a community-supported agriculture. Have you ever gotten your box, right? You get your box of food, but you bring it to shul. You come to shul to get your farmer's market. And not everybody likes kohlrabi. Okay, me, I don't like kohlrabi. I've tried. I put it in salads. Everything that's there and left over becomes food for your religious school, food for the poor. Throughout the week, each meal serves the entire community. And that ultimately, as a goal, you get that reach nichoach that participates not just for you and not just for the Jews, but for the entire community. That becomes a soup kitchen. It becomes your own best meal. And that is the best of what we have to offer. Because I pray, and I do pray, when I look forward to the future, Shavuot, my Torah would be that you have that reich nichoach and you say, yeah, that's coming from Bnei Israel. That smell is, in fact, what we have to offer. And that is in literature and in our Torah, but it's not just food romance literature. It's actually a documentary of our souls and what we best represent. And I know you've had that feeling when you cook something special. You've had korban. You've brought people closer together at a good dinner party. Now, what if we could do that, not just for our table, but really sharing a table for the world? And I think that's what the priesthood and that's what our Torah really commands. So I wish you the reich nichoach, that sweet smell, and may we continue as we move forward towards Shavuot to understand what the precious flour does day in and day out to build towards something bigger and holier for ourselves in the world. Shabbat Shalom.